I hope you're gyrated this morning, having a lot of good fun. Okay, it's time for us to host our usual guest, of course, who is a lover of good health. Usually, there's a health challenge every time. Are you taking up the challenge this time around? Welcome, Dr. Vigo, this point at time. Welcome, Dr. Vigo. Good morning and welcome to Echo FM.
Very good morning, all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Is here once more this morning to remind us that tomorrow, Friday, we are going to have a free clinical session for everybody.
Echo FM 100.7 brings you engaging conversation on trending news.
We need the federal government to sort whatever issue they are having with ASU.
And by December this year, 4,000 MOUs will be employed in Europe.
It's explosive.
Well, first of all, we must understand that war in itself is a display of anarchy. When you talk about war, that is lawlessness at its peak. When you say you are fighting war to keep Nigeria one, no. You fought the war as a manifestation of your incompetence in the management of the crisis that was then part of Nigerian history.
Hilarious.
I get malaria, my cancer. Behind every successful man, there's a woman at the front. Stop shaking your head. You stop shaking your head. You're one of those who are causing problems. On action,
and daring.
Mr. President, God will ask all of us, but you will be in the front. I will say, I've told the Senate President.
Our nation remains one of the most insecure and least peaceful in the world today, making Nigeria one of the hungriest countries of the world. Nigerians now spend nearly their entire income on feeding.
We may be hungry, but we can manage our hunger.
My appeal is that you dedicate 20% of 2025, roughly 72 days, to visit each of the 36 states.
Catch the drama, feel the excitement on Straight Talk on Echo FM 100.7 Owerri with the Radio Marshal Barry Cosmos every weekday 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Join
Be poor, breathe.
every day,
every hour,
every minute,
and every second.
breaking news occur
From our villages,
in our cities,
new government policies,
the economy,
politics,
social news,
entertainment news,
security concerns.
We the people converge
to analyze
separating facts from fiction.
lies and truth.
We dissect,
We integrate,
we harmonize,
we criticize.
and we bring you all the juicy details.
Live on Echo FM 100.7 Owerri. It is Straight Talk.
Straight Talk.
Straight Talk on Echo FM 100.7 Owerri.
Shall I begin? I am your host. I am your anchorman. I am the presiding bishop of this ministry, and I am awesome. My name is Barry Cosmos, the Radio Marshal, the Buruburu One on radio, the Okenze on radio, your big brother on radio. I am the main event, and I am here.
Live on Echo FM 100.7 Owerri.
Are you ready?
Echo FM 100.7, the fresh news people.
Good morning and welcome to the show. Welcome to Straight Talk Live on Echo FM 100.7. My name is Barry Cosmos, and of course, I have my microphone partner here.
And mine is Judge Don Ekoma.
All right, today on the show, let us get into the nitty-gritty of the show. And of course, I must warn that this is a very sensitive matter we want to treat, so everybody, let's play with caution, because we are trying to educate and enlighten people so you don't fall into certain categories, and then we x-ray why this is paramount, and of course, why we have to compare and contrast with what laws are and what religious laws are. Well, based on this, news broke out yesterday or a few days ago about the comment attributed to the Sultan of Sokoto, who is Alhaji Said Abubakar III. Well, he has said categorically that he's defending Islam, and of course, he reaffirmed his stance that the death penalty for anyone who insults Prophet Muhammad will not be revoked under Sharia law in Nigeria. Well, it is a very, very strong statement. He says they are going to enforce penalty for insulting Prophet Muhammad according to the Sharia law. And that brings us to the question of Nigeria. Last time we talked about Nigeria, whether it's a secular or a religious nation. And today we are taking a look at some extremist idea of what the Islam religious beliefs and their laws according to their penal code of Islam that stipulates death penalty for anybody who insults or mock the prophet. So today we want to take a look at what constitutes an insult, or what do the Islamic belief see as insult or any defamatory or any of those things that they consider blasphemous, and they put you to death for that. So stick around. Let's give you some eye-openers, some enlightenment on this particular subject. So if you find yourself in the Islamic area, you behave yourself and don't do these things if you don't want to be put to death. Let's put it that way. Or you don't want to be affected by the Sharia law. Remember, the Sharia law is only applicable to Muslims, not Christians. Does it mean that if somebody who is not a Muslim says something they consider as blasphemous, will the penal code of the Islamic Sharia law be applied on such a person in a secular nation? So this is a very serious matter. I would like us to treat it with all manner of seriousness, not with kid gloves or joke around with it, because this involves life and death. All right? And just like you said, it's a delicate matter. So we all, if you don't know what to say, please just listen up, get the information. If you have any knowledge, it is great. I did not invite any Islamic person to be here, so we don't turn it into some kind of rancor conversation. No, it's more for enlightenment purpose. It's more for education purpose, and of course, to bring out some facts that needs to be attended to, especially by Nigerian government, where we have two sets of laws, one for the secular people and one for the Islamic religion. Okay? And of course, we have Christians and pagans and traditionalists all in one country. How come this is now a reality? Also, the ECOWAS court gave a judgment by the where the human rights activists and the activism and the groups went to that court seeking to repeal this particular death penalty or sentence against people who blaspheme against the prophet. Now, the prophet, the Sultan has clearly stated that they will not repeal that particular law against a court of competent jurisdiction. Are they above the law? Does the law apply to them? These are our questions that need answers. You want to add anything to that?
To kick off this, before anybody behaves or before you actually act out, the question is, why do you do the things you do? For the Christians, maybe why we don't have that kind of law in like the way the Muslims have is because the civil rights law is already binding us as Christians, that you should not do this, you should not do that. And of course, not just the civil rights law. We also have the Bible that helps us, that educates us, that puts us or tilts us towards doing things that are right. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not do the things that God does not want you to do. So if the Muslims are saying that they are abiding by the Sharia law, the question is, where are they getting their Sharia law from? If their Quran itself is saying that the Quran strictly prohibits the killing of any person, equating the unjust killing of one soul to murdering all of humanity, and is quoted from a specific verse in the Quran. Murder is considered a grave crime with severe spiritual penalties, including eternal hellfire for deliberate killing. The only exemptions are through due legal process for capital crimes. Now, if your Quran is saying you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't murder, you shouldn't take the life of an individual. So the question is, why do you do that? And I think the real question we should pose to them is, do you know the miracle that is involved when it comes to building a life that a woman carries in her womb? If you can tell me how miraculous that is, then I will now know that you are actually following a strong faith. So that is my question as we go ahead. Thank you.
All right, here the Sultan has reaffirmed the death penalty for anyone who insults the Prophet. He reportedly stated that the Sharia-based laws prescribing capital punishment for blasphemy against the Prophet will not be repealed, and that no external pressure or government threat would stop Muslims from implementing Sharia in Nigeria. That is the comment attributed to the Sultan of Sokoto, the Caliphate of Islam in Nigeria. With this kind of statement, do we or do the Islamic religion operate under Nigerian law or their own law? These are questions that need answers. So, shall we begin? Before we go into this conversation, as usual, let's take a little bit look at some headlines that are really making the rounds this morning. All right, most of the papers this morning are talking about insecurity, and of course, and there's a shocking amount of money in Nigeria that have been spent on security for the past 8 years, and nothing seems to be abating. The big question is why? But then let's take a look at this. The Daily Post newspaper this morning, that's our starting point. Insecurity, Gumi's shock revelation reignites national conversation on counter-terrorism. Recall that Gumi said Nigerian government knows these terrorists by name and where they stay. That they even escort him to their hideout and to their bases. Those were the comments of Gumi. And at the end of the day, we spent nearly, about how many? 32 trillion in the past 8 years, and nothing to show for it. So most Nigerians were taken aback when the controversial Kaduna-based Islamic cleric, Sheikh Abubakar Gumi, told the world in a televised interview that Nigerian government knows these people by name and where they are. They even communicate. Can you imagine that? So this has risen a lot of questions. So what do you make of that story? Well, network outrage disrupt businesses as Abuja Area Council residents decry poor services. All right, that's another headline on the Daily Post newspaper this morning. This issue of outage, NEPA, EEDC. It's not just EEDC. Everywhere in the country, there is outbreak of darkness. And if your Aso Rock has removed their hands on themselves from lights, who else needs lights? When Aso Rock, no need them. Oh, me trouble. Please, go check that story on the Daily Post newspaper and get more details. Well, just before we say Baraka de Salah to the Muslim faithfuls as they see the end of their Ramadan period, Eid al-Fitr, Kano Censorship Board warns against indecent posters dressing, mixing of males and females. This is one Nigeria. Male and females cannot mix, yet they had wife and daughters in their house. Do they mix up? Anyway, the Kano State Censorship Board has warned that it will prosecute commercial tricycle operators who display inappropriate pictures and writings in their vehicles during the Eid al-Fitr celebrations. The warning was contained in a statement issued on Wednesday by the board public relations officer, Abdullahi Sani Suleiman. Well, according to the statement, the move is part of preparations to ensure that the Salah festivities are conducted in an orderly and morally acceptable manner across the state. The board said it will also monitor recreational centers during the celebrations, particularly to check indecent dressing among youths and prevent situations involving improper mixing of male and female. Who determines what is improper mixing? Which yardstick measures that? How do you see a man and a woman sit and it's improper mixing in a commuter vehicle? Whether in a keke bus, or in a keke itself, keke tricycle. How can you carry these people without them sitting together? These are private-owned businesses. These laws are affecting their daily income. Well, who am I to judge what I don't know? So what do you make of that story? We'll move on now to the Punch newspaper, then.
Okay. Nigeria, Britain set for fresh security alliance.
Another alliance. Don't consign them. All right, let's take other stories. Akwa Ibom denies plan to sell Ibom power and Labes report false. All right? Okay, who won't buy that one? Who never survive EEDC and the rest of the DCs? They won't sell Ibom power. Akwa Ibom has since denied that one. And Omahi invites anti-graft agencies to probe road projects. Or your plans, loan scheme for youths in agri-businesses and highway danger, or your students beg FEMA for speed breakers. Yes, there are some streets in Owerri, because there are no bumps or speed breakers as they're called. People just drive as if they have kai in the stomach, igbo in the head. I don't know where they're rushing to, and this is not good for public safety. Anyway, the speed breakers are very important. Some area in Wedra Road, if you see the way they are flying, as if they are flying just small Wedra from here to here. They'll be flying as if there is no tomorrow. Everybody, check out that one. All right, AFCON. Global outrage as CAF hands Senegal's cup to Morocco. Are you still angry about this? Morocco should be jubilating because they took a cup from the courts, not from the pitch. How beautiful. But that one day, they say they are upholding the law, and people are happy. Many people are sad about that. Let's move on now to the Vanguard newspaper, then.
Okay, insecurity. How Nigeria spent 32.8 trillion naira on defense in 15 years.
Despite the allocation of about 32.88 trillion to defense in the last 15 years, representing roughly 12.5% of the 262.834 trillion national budget within the period, Nigeria remains trapped in protracted insecurity. And this is a very lamentable situation. In 15 years, that adds up 8 years of Buhari, and the 3 years of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the last 2 years of, 2 or 3 years of Jonathan. Put together, they have spent 32.8 trillion naira. This surpasses the budget of how many African countries? In those 15 years, put them together, reach. And yet we cannot end insecurity. What does it tell you? It is not about money. It is about capacity to deal with insecurity, the willingness of the military hierarchy as well as the people in government places, the sabotage by a lot of people in high places, and of course, influence of foreign machineries and the terrorist sponsors. This is terrible. If you check this amount of money, this will never reach to, it never reached to build another country, build them from beginning to end.
And to still remain.
Nah. Well, this is what happens when most of the generals who were retired just because there's a change in government, people who knew what they were doing. I remember when this whole thing started, when Ihejirika was the chief of army staff. Man, these guys, they saw hell. Just within one day, bodies were flying all over. They ran away. That was when the military had the guts to do what needed to be done based on this military insecurity and all that. Now, the table have turned. We have the terrorists now affecting or terrorizing military. Not military going after them, they're going after the military because they are the ones attacking military bases in Nigeria. Oh, me trouble. Wow. Well, that's what it is. Why Al-Majri are infiltrating Abuja. Well done, let's get a little bit of this story. I think it's worth reading out to the people.
Okay, the title.
Why Al-Majri is infiltrating Abuja. So it is the capital of Nigeria now. We have Al-Majri taking over. Let's get that story out.
He is dressed in oversized clothes, which appear to have survived many seasons, hanging on his tiny frame. He is one of many children his age who currently hang around the popular NNPC bus stop is Kubwa, one of the suburbs of Nigeria's bustling capital, Abuja. With a plastic plate held by a string hanging from his neck, he holds out his hands while speaking in a whisper. Begging for alms, he is prepared to collect food or cash and doesn't hesitate to proudly identify himself as an Almajiri. I am an Almajiri, a student of a traditional Islamic school. Aminu declares with childlike innocence when asked if he is one. Aminu, like several of his friends, left the comfort of his parents' home in rural communities of Katsina, Sokoto, Kano, and Bauchi to study Arabic and memorize the Quran. To survive, he begs for food or money to buy some. Sometimes he sleeps wherever the night catches up with him, whether it's during the day or at night, as long as he can reach his Malam study center, which can be a hut or under a tree for prayers and Quran memorization session. Asked if he has been to a formal school, he says no. He looks over his shoulders, perhaps to see the expression on the faces of some of his companions who had gathered to listen to the conversation. My father strictly forbids it. It's a haram, forbidden, he says with all the courage he can muster. Asked when he last saw his parents, who now reside in rural Futan in Katsina State, northwest Nigeria, he responded with a simple answer: I can't remember.
Let's keep that story going.
At this point, perhaps, sensing the session may not meet his expectations, he sidesteps the reporters to join his friends, who have sighted a man in a flashy sports utility vehicle, distributing packs of cooked food as part of the alms-giving ritual popular among Muslims during Ramadan. He said fear of being recruited by terrorists forced him to flee to Abuja. Aminu's story resonates with Ibrahim, a 29-year-old motorcyclist who plies his trade in Bowari, one of the sprawling urban centers in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Ibrahim, who describes himself as a product of the Almajiri system, equally announces that he did not attend Western-style school. Ibrahim explains that he was born in Sharanshi, Katsina State, and was handed over to his Malam teacher when he was just 5 years old. There were many who were taken from his village to other towns in northern Nigeria in search of greener pastures, using the Almajiri system as the foundation. The Malam first took them to Katsina before moving to Kano, where they stayed for some time, studying Arabic and memorizing the Quran.
Well, I wanted that story to be read out clearly to all of us, and I want us to sink. This is what our young children in Nigeria go through in the name of memorizing Quran, and that is the only education they have. The only education you want your child to get is to memorize the Quran. And the father strictly forbids his own child from going to school other than going to Islamic studies under the tree in a hut without shishi to be given. The only thing he is given is a small plate to hang on his neck, and they push him into the street. He is a student of Islamic studies, and yet the school cannot provide food. He has to go out and beg, and that is a lifestyle. This is the fate of a lot of young boys and girls in most northern states, where Al-Majri is the main thing.
Yeah.
I begin to wonder, Saudi Arabia, the seat and headquarters of Islam, do they practice this? Iran, do you see this? In Kuwait, do you see it? In Qatar, in UAE, even in African societies here. You go to Senegal, do they do this? Why is it that in Nigeria we have this number of school children who are supposed to be leaders of tomorrow not having any future? The only future they have is very bleak. Either you go back and then grow up, you can now walk with your hands, carry cows, go into the bush, and do back. Recycling poverty year in, year out, every day. And if you think it's going to abate, before this small boy of how many 9 years gets to 20 years, there are like millions of younger ones joining the queue. In the 20th century, Kaaba. Is that what Islam is all about for children? I'm asking this question to people who do that, not to the genuine Islamic people. And if you are hearing me and getting angry, you can get angry for all I care. But all I'm saying in essence is that, is this what the future of these young boys and girls will be like in the life to come? And when you talk about it, it's haram. Well, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going on. Let's see where it will end. People do everything to make sure that child gets higher than where they stopped. But some of these people, all they have to do, the only thing to prove you're a man is to get a woman pregnant, give birth to a child, and abandon the child in the street in the name of Islam. Does it make any sense to you? Well, Nigerians, we need to start thinking. For those of you who are Islamic people living in this part of the world, hey, train your children. They will take care of you in your old age. This is how the world works. They build empires from family business. Before we open the phone lines for you to add your voice and to the conversation. It's a terrible situation. I'm really not happy with that story. I wanted everybody to get a feel of what it takes. This is Ramadan period, and we need to take care of our young ones. Take care of the little ones, because they may be 20% of our population today, but I guarantee you they are 100% of our future. And this is the future of Nigeria in the streets. The government is doing nothing to shape this and letting people do things using Islam as an excuse to litter the streets with recruitment grant for insecurity after we spend 32.88 trillion naira in trying to curtail insecurity in 15 years. Is getting worse. How will it not get worse when you have a factory where they manufacture insurgents? This is where we draw the cutting, and we need to cut the line. Anyway, the dollar to naira exchange rate today, March 19, 2026. You want to know that? Grab a copy of the Vanguard newspaper. At this point, let's open up the phone lines for you to add your voice to the conversation. 0911 20,022 or 0707 454 1014. Everybody, let's go. Their phone lines are officially open. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Cardinal.
Please turn it down the volume on your radio. Turn it down. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm fine. Welcome aboard.
It's a friend Chikodi.
Chikodi, how are you doing?
I'm doing as Nigeria keep us.
Go ahead.
Buddy, can you remember what I talked about a month ago about the government of Nigeria? About that is their own Sharia, that is Christian law. I'm using it as it has started converting. Then as yesterday at Timor University area, they are sharing bulletins, they are Muslims, to make sure that there's a escalate everywhere, away in the Muslim country. Now, what is happening in the Dugri? Many people have died, and our president moved to London and started jamboree. It's very necessary.
All right.
Now,
thank you, my brother.
But so everybody is crying. I don't see that this election will hold because there is no a revolution in this particular country, so that everybody should answer it successfully. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. This one is in Abuja. Doctors of SCT communities members send account details for ransom
communities.
Hey. This is getting worse every day. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Barry Cosmas, my very good friend.
Good morning.
Good morning, Don.
Good morning.
I usually call for Let me talk about Mr. President's visit achieving an alliance in security with Britain. For those who have been actually criticizing Mr. President over his visit to Britain, including our own Kenneth Okonkwo, and we should use this development in the alliance in security with the Britain and others, especially in the economic sector and others. Actually, have a rethink and then bury their heads in shame. Because Mr. President has actually ordered our security agencies to locate in Maiduguri. And I can tell you, without mentioning what, that their joint patrol is already yielding a lot of results. Making sure that their terrorist activities in that state is segmented to an unprecedented level. You do not expect Mr. President to be at the scene of every security place anytime. He is order that the security agency look at there is yielding a lot of results. And Mr. President was there too, and assure that the terrorist activities there will soon be a thing of the past. So what else are we not looking for? And the MTI pitches want to use it to score an undeserved political scorecard. As I tell them that this will give the equal at the end of the day. But it's not going to give many meaningful results.
Thank
you. My friend, I hope you are contemplating joining APC in this sometime.
I'm
looking forward to receiving you. I'm giving you a very wonderful welcome.
Come and be going. Bye-bye. All right. So residents in Kungba Bokung and Paza, two communities in the Boazin district of the outskirts of Kubwa, Boari Area Council, have narrated their horrific experiences following successive attacks by a gang of kidnappers. In operations occurring just a week apart, at least 16 persons were abducted across 3 separate incidents. During the raids, the bandits reportedly stole cooking pots and oil before sending an account number to the victim's family to demand a ransom. This account number, doesn't it have details of the owners of this account? And yet they can't trace them. Let's move on, Jerry. Good morning.
Good morning, my very good friend, Mr. Barry. How are you doing this morning?
I am very
fine,
thank you.
Good morning. My brother, Mr. Barry, government of Nigeria spent over 15-point-something trillion in security. Still, we have insecurity, and now Mr. President said he went to London to seek for help to fight insecurity. I asked Mr. President, we have over 200 American soldiers in Nigeria that are here to help the Nigerian soldiers to fight insecurity, including Israeli soldiers. Why going back to Britain again to seek for help? Where you have it on the ground? Is it not deceiving of the people? Which way Nigeria? Why Mr. President going to London to seek for help? My brother, I find it for my own self, allegedly, that Mr. President is going there to renegotiate for 2027 coming back, not for the betterment of this country called Nigeria for now. Therefore, we call him back to come and see what is happening in this country called Nigeria for now, that nobody is happy. Even the Hausas are the Muslims that are celebrating today. None of them, 90% of them cannot even boast of a day lunch or that's a day breakfast for themselves. Still, Mr. President is going there to lavish our money. We will have insecurity here, and the other presidents all over the world are in their country fighting their security because of what is going on between Israelis, America, and Iran. Mr. President is going there to enjoy. What a shame.
Thank you,
my brother. It is well.
All right, thank you very much. Let's get some messages off our Facebook before we go for a commercial break. Don Peter says, good morning, Mr. Barry, Cosmos, and Don. You guys are looking amazing. Who do us like, and how do we get here? Imagine one country having two constitutions. Which one be if I insert man-made whatever? Niger don't go. All right, thank you very much for that message. We'll keep those messages coming on our WhatsApp. We have this one says, Barry the Guru one and a Koma, Don George, Asna Queen. I think the Sultan of Sokoto was talking to his Islamic group for Gumi. A statement I think the federal government should have declared him wanted, unless they are guilty of what Gumi accused them of. Barry, I have been wondering how Morocco will be celebrating the AFCON Cup, the one in court. Will they declare public holiday for that? Barry, why did President Tinubu travel to UK with Chief of Defense Staff amid killings and insecurity in the country? I am Comrade Chris Ogbona, JP, Church of Presentation, Umuguma. Thank you very much. Okay, one more before we go on that break. Good morning, Echo FM. My name is Engineer Caleb from Owerri. I don't blame Sultan of Sokoto. I will blame Abraham that went into Hagar to give birth to Ishmael, which is against the will of God. Ishmael gave birth to 12 sons, and they are the 12 Arab nations troubling the world. Nigeria is an Islamic nation, believe it or not. Okay, it's time for us to take a visit to our commercial decks and bring you some commercials. Thereafter, the news update at 10.
Owerri, are you ready?
3, 4. Aye.
Fancy! It's the Poo Party Takeover. Yeah. Desperados is bringing the Latin vibe pool party. You don't want to miss this rave of exciting fun galore. Expect the unexpected happening live at Cattell Beach House. Date March 22nd from 4 p.m. Feel the crazy pool vibes, Savoy Ice Cold Desperados, and the excitement goes on with fun games, special performances, and non-stop music. The King of Shutdown. What are you waiting for? Grab your shades, your tribe, and the best pool kits because it's about to be a movie. The Desperados Pool Party at Cattell House on the 22nd of March. Let's turn up the vibe, feel the chill, and splash the glow. For more information, follow at Desperados NG. Entry is free. Yeah.
Echo FM.
Echo FM, 100.7 of fresh news people.
It's the sound of the city. Echo 100.7.
Are you a business owner looking to reach a wider audience? Do you want to promote your products or services to thousands of listeners? Look no further. Echo FM 100.7 offers a unique opportunity to advertise your business to a targeted and engaged audience. If interested in advertising with Echo FM, please call 0707-491-3440 to speak with our representative. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity to grow your business and reach new customers. Call us now on 0707-491-3440. 0707-491-3440. Thank you.
Echo FM.
this week to help those in need.
If you know that it's God Almighty that created you and created we Nigerians like you need to do good things for us because the masses are suffering. How you can suspend me here? Are we are slaves? And I'm going to win this election. That is the truth.
Stay informed with Echo FM 100.7. Join us for exclusive interviews with experts, breaking updates on local and global events, and in-depth coverage of issues impacting our community. Tune in every weekday at 6:30 a.m., 12 noon, 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. for our major news bulletin in English, Igbo, and Pidgin language. For more inquiries, you can reach us through our email, echofm@thekingmail.com. You can follow us on our social media handles at EchoFM. Echo FM 100.7 Owerri. We are the Fresh News People.
Catch up with the latest news updates on Echo 100.7 FM Owerri.
Welcome to the news update on Echo FM 100.7. Here are the latest stories we are keeping tabs on. The federal government has stepped up efforts to reposition Nigeria's correctional systems, unveiling plans to transform custodial centers into productive agri-businesses, helped through strategic public-private partnerships, while deepening rehabilitation and reintegration programs for inmates, while stressing the need to unlock the economic and rehabilitative potential of correctional facilities nationwide. Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubemi Tunjojo, stated that the reform agenda is anchored on transforming prisons from mere holding facilities into centers of productivity and human development. The Nigerian government has achieved a milestone as an indigenous energy firm secured its 7.4 billion naira financing to deploy 7 megawatts of electricity in underserved communities in Ebonyi State, southeast Nigeria. The financing is part of the Memorandum of Understanding on the 100 billion naira with a Nigerian bank to deploy renewable energy infrastructure across 8 key sites in Ebonyi State. The government said the move, which under its access through renewable energy scale-up, is aimed at closing the country's energy gap. The National Association of Nigerian Students Southwest Zone D held a peaceful protest in Oshogbo, Osun State, over poor power supply in the region. The protesters, who decried poor electricity supply on campuses of the tertiary institutions in the region, demanded immediate action to address their complaints. The presence of heavily armed security operatives deployed to secure the facility heightened tension as the protesters chanted solidarity songs and expressed displeasure over irregular power supply to their communities. And in Lagos State, the Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority says its operatives sealed the office of a suspected imposter who operates under the guise of being a licensed realtor in the Ikorodu area of the state. According to the statement, the special advisor to the governor on housing, Barakat Odunuga Bakari, disclosed that the clampdown was part of the government's efforts to sensitize the real estate sector, protect residents from fraudulent practices, and restore public confidence in property transactions. residents and business owners in Buari Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory have continued to lament persistent disruptions of mobile networks in the area. The residents say most of the network providers in the area have abandoned customers who depend largely on their network to transact businesses. There has been no official statement or notification from the companies to its subscribers regarding the situation in the area. And in Yobe State, government has suspended the operations of recreational centers during Salah festivities aimed at safeguarding lives and property. Special advisor on security matters to the state governor, Brigadier General Dahiru Abdulsalam, retired, revealed this in a statement which indicated that the current security situation does not favor large crowds of young persons celebrating the 2026 Eid-el-Fitr. And in sports, Hurricanes called in each half as Bayern Munich thumped Atlanta 4-1 at home in the Champions League last 16, winning 10-2 on aggregate to book a quarter-final date with Real Madrid. Captaining Bayern in the Champions League for the first time, Kane converted a penalty with 25 minutes played and added another goal early in the second half, bringing his career Champions League tally to 50 in 66 games. And in the world of business, the Nigerian stock market closed on a negative note, losing 900 billion naira as profit taken in key sectors, particularly banking and oil and gas, weighed on overall market performance. The all-share index ASI dipped by 1,402.55 naira points, representing a loss of 0.6% to close at 201,156.86 points. Also, market capitalization shed 900 billion naira to close at 129.126 trillion naira. The overall downturn was driven by losses recorded in medium and large capitalized stocks. And on the foreign scene, the African Union has condemned the suicide bombing that struck Maiduguri, Borno State on Monday night, killing 23 people and injuring over 100 others. In a statement, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mahmoud Yusuf, reiterated the AU's unequivocal rejection and firm condemnation of all forms of violence perpetrated by terrorist elements, describing such acts as a grave violation of human rights, peace, and security. And that is all for the news update at 10 as edited by Benjamin Joseph. For more information and inquiries, visit our social media platforms. On Facebook is Echo FM. On X, it's at Echo FM_Owerri. On Instagram and YouTube, Echo FM 100.7. You can listen to us anywhere in the world by clicking on www.echofm.net. Thank you for listening.
It's the sound of the city. Echo 100.7. Every day,
Every hour.
Every minute.
And every second.
Breaking news occur.
From our villages.
In our cities.
New government policies.
The economy.
Politics.
Social news.
Entertainment news.
Security concerns.
We, the people, converge
to analyze.
Separating facts from fiction.
Lies and truth.
We dissect.
We integrate.
We harmonize.
We criticize.
And we bring you all the juicy details.
Live on Echo FM 100.7 Owerri. It is Straight Talk.
Straight Talk.
Straight Talk on Echo FM 100.7 Owerri.
Shall I begin? I am your host. I am your anchorman. I am the presiding bishop of this ministry, and I am awesome. My name is Barry Cosmos, the Radio Marshal, the Buruburu One on radio, the Okenze on radio, your big brother on radio. I am the main event, and I am here.
Live on Echo FM 100.7 Owerri.
Are you ready?
Welcome back to the show, people. It's Straight Talk. Welcome to the main event on radio. Let's go straight into the conversation today. We are taking a look at the comments by the Sultan of Sokoto, who says nobody will escape a death penalty if you are found blaspheming the Prophet. And that is a total no-no for Islam. They said they are not going to repeal that particular penal code which stipulates death penalty for people who are blasphemous against the Prophet, despite the ruling by an ECOWAS court to that effect. That violates human rights and all that. That is what we're talking about today. But before we go into all that conversation, let's take a look at some of the messages that came in on board. I'm calling to Swagu, aka Motion, texting from Imopoli. He says, good morning, my good friend Uche Naklara and the listener. Okay, this one is not for us even. Okay, this one is for police. We definitely let me go. I don't know which one be. Okay, this is not for us either. Come, Uche. Better they read out this message, oh. All right. Let's continue. These ones are all old messages. Where are the new ones? While are they? Will I say new old message now? I just see here. Okay, let's take this one. Says good morning, Barry Cosmos and Okenzo on radio and the radio partner. My name is Cliff David Namdi Ogbukporo from Umbonjo Irete. What do the Muslims consider as being blasphemy against Prophet Muhammad? They should outline what they consider as blasphemy against Muhammad so that we may know. Muslim wants to forcefully impose Sharia law to Nigerians as against the Nigerian constitution, which I believe supersedes the Sharia law. In my opinion, let the Sharia law deal with the Muslim and leave Christians out of it. Imagine how Deborah was burnt alive without telling us the offense she committed against the Prophet Muhammad. Or is it still an offense to mention Muhammad's name? Okay, Prophet Muhammad should fight for himself through the law of Quran, the way Jesus Christ punished those that sin against him through the Bible. God bless you, the Guru One on radio. All right, this other one says, Don, can you read this one out for them?
Okay, Barry and Don, good day. Tinubu traveled to UK to request support to fight insecurity. Soon he will go to Morocco or India. No wahala. Barry and Don, caught in Edo State, permitted us to snap police at the checkpoints. I know follow. Barry and Daybreak, you people are wonderful. Keep it up. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, let's go straight into the conversation, okay? Today is a very serious matter. Like I said before, let us mind our utterances so that we don't offend people's sensitivities. But the Sultan of Sokoto reportedly stated that the Sharia-based laws prescribing capital punishment for blasphemy against the Prophet will not be repealed, and that no external pressure or government threat would stop Muslims from implementing Sharia in Nigeria. Then that is a statement from the leader of the Islamic faithfuls in Nigeria. Is this not challenging the authority of Nigerian government? Okay. Since Nigerian president and the vice president are Muslims under the authority of the Sharia and under the authority of the Sultan as an Islamic leader, can Nigeria ever have a law that supersedes that of the Sharia law when it comes to punishment such as this one or other things they consider as against Islamic law? And this is one of the areas we'll be treating. Key details: Sultan supports the Sharia law. Hoo-ha. Okay. He also reiterated that the Christians should not be subjected to Sharia law or court processes meant solely for Muslims, as Nigeria is a multi-religious country. That is also what the Sultan says. But we've seen instances where Christians are subjected to Sharia law. Can a Christian say something about Prophet Muhammad and go scot-free if they consider it as blasphemous? Now that is another question. Well, the remarks are following the calls for international actors, including U.S. lawmakers, to abolish blasphemy and Sharia-based criminal laws in Nigeria. They say there is no external force on all that. Condemnation of mob action while supporting the legal death penalty for blasphemy. Islamic leaders in Nigeria have previously condemned extrajudicial killings, jungle justice, that's what it's meant, such as the 2022 mob of students Deborah Samuel in Sokoto, clarifying that the responsibility of punishment lies with competent court of law, not individuals. But which of these blasphemous acts have been taken through the law court, especially when you're not a Muslim? Which among them? I remember vividly when Deborah was killed. The young men who killed Deborah came out on social media making videos say, "Now we kill them," saying na them. We had lawyers who went to court to say no. They even threatened any lawyer that will go to court to even say they want to prosecute that boy. So we say one thing and do another thing. That is a very worrisome trend. So we are just bringing up all this for you. Don't you have anything to add to that?
Like I asked a question before we started, and in as much as this subject is delicate, I would want to toe the line of their Quran in order to buttress whatever it is they are saying. I asked the question. In summary of that question, I said, can they create a human being? If they cannot do that, then I don't see why they should have the audacity or the temerity to be able to take a life. Now, from their Quran, it says, and it is not for a believer to kill a believer except by mistake. And whoever kills a believer by mistake must set free a believing slave and pay the blood money to the family of the slain, unless they remit it as a free will offering. But if he, the slain, is from a tribe hostile unto you, and he is a believer, then the penance is to set free a believing slave And if he is from a tribe between whom and you there is a covenant, then the blood money must be paid to his family, and also a believing slave must be set free. But he who finds not the means should fast 2 months consecutively. This is a penance from Allah, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. So if the Quran you follow, if the Quran you preach by, if it's the Quran you actually are growing to memorize, and you're training your generation and generation to come after you, your Quran does not say you should kill. It does not say you should murder. They said if you don't have a slave to free, then you can pay the penalty of fasting or giving the money to the family. So the question is, can you create a life? If you cannot, then I don't think you have the right to kill one.
Well, so we go to the nitty-gritty of today's conversation, which is centering on the statement of blasphemy attracting death. Recently, in 2025, the Human Rights Initiative against Nigeria, that case came up on board. The case was brought by a human rights group, and they challenged blasphemy laws in Kano State, particularly Section 210 of the Penal Code and Section 382, subsection B of the Sharia Penal Code, which allows the death penalty for blasphemy. Where the key findings of the ECOWAS court, the court ruled that blasphemy laws violate freedom of expression, which is guaranteed by Nigerian laws. So, on one hand, we have a law that gives you the freedom to express yourself. On the other hand, there's a law that says if you express yourself freely, you will be killed. So which of these laws should we live on? The court specifically held that blasphemy is a non-violent offense, speech-based. Therefore, applying the death penalty is excessive and disproportionate. And that is what the court ruled. You cannot punish speech like alleged insult to religion with death. That is what the ECOWAS court ruled. Yeah. Laws were too vague. The court said the provision did not clearly define what counts as blasphemy. This makes them open to abuse and arbitrary enforcement. That is the decision of the ECOWAS court. The court therefore orders and gave it to Nigeria. The orders given to Nigeria, the ECOWAS court ordered Nigeria to repeal or amend the blasphemy provisions. Ensure all similar laws comply with human rights standards and align national laws with international obligations. Later, in 2025, the court even issued a writ of execution to push enforcement of the judgment. Well, the wider implication is that this judgment applies broadly across ECOWAS member states, not just Nigeria. It effectively establishes that blasphemy laws, especially those involving capital punishment, violate regional human rights law. And despite the ruling, some countries, including Nigeria, have not fully complied yet. Blasphemy laws are still enforced in part of northern Nigeria under Sharia. Now, these are the issues. And the key takeaway is that the death penalty for blasphemy is illegal under international and regional human rights law because it is disproportionate to a non-violent act like speech. Okay. When you now take a look at double jeopardy for cases involving other persons who spoke, didn't do anything, they only said one or two things, and they are tried for treason, convicted and put into prisons for speaking up. But in this other case, they're sent to death. So how unjust and how unequal the application of the natural law, the application of the Nigerian Constitution, and the application of the Sharia law. So let's look at this wide scope and take a look at that. Later on the show, I'll list for you what constitutes blasphemy according to Islamic laws. These are well out there. So if you are Islam or Muslim brother, and you have more you want to educate us on, please, we will be happy to listen to you. Just pick up your phone and then dial and call. So far, let's open up the phone lines and let's get to hear your take on this matter. 0911 20022 or 0707 454 1014. Let's go there. Good morning. Are you serious? Are you flashing me? That shall not flash. Your phone go lost if you flash. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Cosmos.
Welcome aboard.
Good morning.
Am I welcome?
Yeah, good morning.
Go ahead, Amma.
Yes, you see, Mr. Cosmos.
Yeah.
Now, because I'm not supporting anybody who is speaking or who is insulting a supreme spiritual leader. But the fact still remains that what the Sultan and the other Northerners want to let us know is that Nigeria is an Islamic or partially Islamic state, and that is the truth. Take it or leave it. The truth is that Nigeria, to me, has become a two-state country. A country where two swing laws operate hand in hand. And unfortunately, nobody is doing anything about it. Our so-called leaders are doing nothing about it. Nigeria is a member of OIC. Two past presidents, Christian president for that matter, attended OIC meeting in the past. Two Muslims are ruling the country as president and vice president. And we are helplessly and comfortably, we accept it. So what else do you think? Some parts of the country are controlled by Islamic bandits and terrorists, with the government doing little or nothing about it. Well, what I have to say is this. What is there? Do as a Roman when you are in Rome. Obey the Sharia laws when you find yourself in the north in order for you to be safe. That's my take this morning. Amma from Uche Street. Thank you, Mr. Cosmos. I'm done.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Amma. Well, the method of death execution, this is so frightening. The execution is either your death sentence are carried out by hanging, stoning, or shooting. Can you believe that? In 21st century. Good morning.
Ole hime senior comrade Linus Guru. Imeta no Zara. A member no in the state Nigeria. Kosi, how are you?
Good morning.
I'm good, brother. My sister, how are you this morning?
I'm fine, thank God.
Yeah. Sharia law and its effect, especially when it concerns to blasphemy. I think probably this is the topic.
Yeah.
Now, there is this law approved by and signed by President Buhari, which we call hate speech. That hate speech, I don't know how many years sentence they have to give to somebody who said that law. But otherwise, did that law not have conflict with the Sharia law that talks about blasphemy? The blasphemy itself is still hate speech. That's number one. And number two, I want to thank the last caller before me on his analysis. If you go to Rome, you behave as Romans do. You do as Romans do. I lived almost 11 years in the north. My good brother, Abadi, you speak Hausa sometimes. You know how we need to behave there. I live in Kanu, and I'm living probably at Sabongeri. Abiyakuta to be precise. Then, we know how we march. I worked in Kanu. I worked at, what do you call it? Canada. And I'm working where outside people, Fulani people, every tribe are there. I worked in a tannery. So, what I'm saying now is, we still know how we behave when we make some conditions like that. So since we know that enemies is around us, we have to find a way to get away from enemies so that we may not fall victims of their trap. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hello, Barry, my very good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Adam. Yeah, my name is Chief Jude Hubad, and I've just come from Duchi, Imo State. But you may wish to know that I was born and brought up in Kano State, the city of Kano. And the Sharia laws and everything are very well known to me. While we were very small, our parents were warning us, not to be to be mindful of our water and so that we cannot go, we cannot flout their laws and attract this type of punishment. But the truth is that Nigeria is a secular state where every Nigerian is free to belong to any religion. And again, as we speak, no law, whether that of state, whether that of religion, will outweigh our Nigerian constitution. And so far as Nigerian constitution do not actually make provision for that, any law making any religious law providing for that is not employed. And I want to ask whether if a Sharia court gives a judgment, whether judgment is not subject to appeal, either in the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you
very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
I greet you.
Good morning.
What I want to say is that because this that happened in the north, if you can see the killings in the north, and those killings caused by their leaders, now they are posing a Sharia law to everybody in Nigeria. Now, to me, what I can say is that let the Israel Nigeria, let Christian be on their own, let the Muslim be on their own. It's a very simple matter. Than seeing Christian as an enemy to them. That's what I can be able to say concerning this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, let's go into what constitutes blasphemy. But before we do that, let's take these messages that came in earlier on. We have this one says, good morning, Barry, the Radio Marshal, the Woodwood one. I'm beautiful Kaoma. I am Prince Chidozie Owume, writing from Owerri. Sultan of Sokoto is bringing problem in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, he is proven to be above the Nigerian law, and the government of Nigeria kept mute. But if it is a Christian or somebody from Southeast, they will now take action, and even the rubber-stamped Southeast senators will not say anything. But if it is Southeast, they will be the first to be against the brother. Barry, in the case of Tinubu to UK, my brother, you see, he does not care for the life of Nigerians. He is a product of election rigging by Mahmoud. So what do you expect? He doesn't need our votes to return in power, so he can do anyhow. It's very unfortunate. I rest my case. I'm Prince Chidozie Onwume. All right, this song says, Comrade Ampadek Chidozie Nwosu, ebulliently texting from Momo Kane, Ohaji, the most peaceful community in Imo State. Good morning, Barry and Nikoma. Sincerely speaking, the way Muslims act in Nigeria underscores the fact that we are operating two constitutions in one country. Does it mean that Islamic ideology and doctrine is stronger than the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Please, let Christians be strong and resilient enough to face Muslims. If they kill one Christians, all right, please, let's not make such things.
Yeah.
We have equal right in this country. Enough is enough. We have this one from Alhaji Barrio and Haji Lady Don, Barka de Sala. Thank you very much. Yaya Aiki. Yayao. All right, everything is fine, my brother. The worst thing that happened to Nigeria is the very present dispensation of APC and East Coast travelers. Sharia practices came as a result of bad and evil government. May we overcome this evil. The people's elder sent in that one. All right, let's take this message now, done.
Okay. Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara from Owerri. Like Jimmy Cliff sang, take a look at the mirror and tell me what you see. Nigerians, take a look, a moral, spiritual, and clinical look at our leaders at various levels of governance in this country and tell me what you see. I now remember when leaders, true leaders, were seen as second gods by their people, when they were truth personified, whose pronouncements were accepted canons. Water, water, water everywhere, but not a drop of water to drink. Power everywhere, but Nigerians are swimming in the ocean of darkness. Insecurity hither, and Nigerians are killed daily, and Mr. President is insensitive and cruising in the UK. How did we degenerate to this level? God, I beg you.
All right. That is the gospel from Dr. Mrs. Sima Olebra. Mommy, we don't read your message. Thank you very, very much, ma'am, for your message. Good morning. Welcome to Straight Talk.
Alhaji Cosmos, good morning.
Good morning.
Barka de Sala.
George, Mahajia, Sanu.
Sanu?
Permit me to have two more insight on the statement credited to the Sultan of Sokoto concerning the death penalty. Let me ask you a question. What is that Arabic writing doing in Nigerian currency? Can you tell me? Nigeria is not a secular state. Let us tell ourselves the truth. They have Islamized the country called Nigeria before now. And what they are fighting is to make sure that they throw in the Quran into the Atlantic Ocean. Let us not deceive ourselves. If not, why not? The Sharia law is there in the Nigerian constitution. Now, Sharia court has been established. Sharia police is there. And if they arrest anybody in Nigeria, Nigerian police cannot even go and take over that matter from the Sharia police. Is it not true? Is this a secular nation or a Muslim country? That is the question. Thank you so much.
Right.
My name is Pastor Ken Iwuchukwu.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, let's take a look at what constitutes blasphemy according to Islam. And so everybody take pen and write this down so you don't go and fall victim, because for those of you who will travel, you never can tell where you find yourself. Don't say, I'm not a Muslim. Well, you never can tell the people that are around there. Some of them may be fanatics, some of them may be extremists, and some of them may just want to do it for the fun of it, because some people feel like killing persons is fun. And I wonder how blood looks like fun to people. Anyway, according to Islamic jurisprudence and scholarly consensus, they identify several categories of actions and speech as blasphemous. First, they say verbal abuse or mockery. What does it entail? They say direct cursing, vilifying, or using derogatory language about the prophet. This includes mocking his physical appearance. Wait, mocking his, if you're saying short or in tall, in fat, in lean, that's physical appearance. That is blasphemy. Okay? You have to maybe mock his lineage or his character. Now, these are broad words. Character. Does it mean that if you say this person has killed this person, is that character? Or what he did and you say it, does it constitute blasphemy? Now, this needs to be explained so people will actually know what it involves. Because somebody can just speak what you say and say you did blasphemy, and before you know, you are in and they're judging you. You may be sent to death, or a couple of years in prison, or stoned, hanged, or even shot to death, according to the penal code of Islamic religion. So people need to understand what this means, that if you mock his physical appearance, his lineage, or his character, that is blasphemous by using verbal abuse or mockery. 2, denial of prophethood. explicitly denying that he was a divinely inspired prophet or calling his revelation lies. What they call the takhib. The takhib. That's what they call denial of prophethood. If you do that, explicitly denying that he was a divinely inspired prophet or calling his revelations lies, you will be committing blasphemy. So invariably, you are not allowed to question what he says, whether it's true or false, whether God give him or not he give himself. Once you say that, it's blasphemy. We need a lot of education on this. Probably one of these days I'll try and get an Islamic scholar to come here and explain some of these things to the people. We can have a one-on-one conversation and find out what exactly they mean by if you question. Because what is it? Denying explicitly, you are committing blasphemy. The third one here, they say visual depiction. For those of Norway, they create cartoon. No go create a prophet. Oh no, they don't want you. They say creating offensive cartoons, caricatures, or satirical films about him. In many Islamic traditions, any visual representation of the prophet is considered disrespectful. And these people, they really respect this prophet. You know, we're supposed to drum. If you drum in a way where you know fine, maybe you can give a kafa lega chicken bish, gindi pias. Those people understand what I mean, If you draw that kind of thing, you are committing blasphemy. That's what they're saying. You know, this kind of cartoon where you go draw, you get big hair with tiny legs. You can't write and put them son and you write a name, whether than him. Oh boy, no do amo. They don't want you. That's what they're saying. Visual depiction. Desecration. That means disrespectful treatment of his name or things associated with him. Such as writing his name in inappropriate places, e.g., toilet walls, or tearing literature that honors him. Oh boy. So for those of you, if you go write his name on the wall, and they consider this place, the prophet's name, no even supposed to be at all. You don't commit blasphemy, and if he kill you, either by stoning, hanging, or shooting. Hey, this thing's serious. It's not a joke. We just need to educate ourselves more on these things. Say if you tear his literature. I remember there was a time some students were writing an exam in the hall, and a teacher saw a student doing expo, that is cheating, in the exam hall using the Quran as copying from the Quran into his answer sheet. And the teacher tried to collect the Quran from the boy, and the Quran fell down on the ground. Haram. Haram, haram. You remember that story? I think that happened in Gombe State somewhere, sometime around. The teacher was mobbed to death. Even when the school principal tried everything to save that teacher, hiding the teacher in his office, they broke the door and brought the teacher up and beat this teacher to death. And it was a female teacher. That was the worst of it. Till today, nobody was, held responsible for the killing of that teacher. She was a Yoruba teacher in, I think, Gombe or somewhere, either Gombe or Yobe, if I'm not mistaken. But the fact remains that nobody looked at copying and cheating in the exam as haram. What they looked at is the fact that the woman touched or was trying to take the book from the Quran from the young man. It fell down on the ground, and that constitutes blasphemy. And she was killed by mob action, which, just like Don has read, it's not supposed to be. It has to pass through legal channels. So that is completely uncalled for, but that simply means you desecrate his name. Mockery of practices. John, Now, can you take that for me?
Okay, joking about or mocking the religious rites or teachings he brought, such as the daily prayers or fasting.
So invariably, if you joke around with some people, they do. I don't want to say it before they start to do blasphemy.
Yeah.
Let me keep quiet. So if you say those prayers in a mocking way or in a way that they think is inappropriate, now they say it's blasphemy. Once one person don't accuse you of blasphemy, as it has been happening, they don't want to hear. Before you go, no, haram, haram, haram. Your name not sorry. Attacking his family or companions, that's insulting his wives. A.G. Aisha, is it Aisha Buhari or what? Or his close companions is often viewed as proxy insult to the prophet himself. So that's why you don't talk to sheikh, you don't talk to imams and all that. Those are proxies of the prophet. He's lost plenty. So invariably, what will you do that is not blasphemy? I'm just reading all these things and asking this. You can talk, you can write, you can't even draw, you cannot make cartoon, you cannot do that so long as the prophet is involved, or maybe you do cartoon, can't name the cartoon Muhammad, that is blasphemy. So that's exactly what it is. So Muhammad may be a name of every other person, not just the prophet. But once they say it is the prophet, bam, blasphemy. There's a range of views on how these acts should be addressed, often depending on the legal scholar, that is a madhab, or the specific country's laws. Seen as apostasy, the apostasy relationship, most traditional scholars, Hanafi or Maliki, Shafis or Hanbali, view blasphemy by Muslim as a form of apostasy, that is the reader, which is a rejection of faith. Worldly punishment. Classical jurisprudence often prescribes severe penalties, including death, for intentional blasphemy. However, some modern scholars and certain interpretations of the Quran argue that no worldly punishment is explicitly mandated, suggesting instead that the punishment rests with God in the afterlife. Requirement of intent. Generally, for an act to be legally considered as blasphemy, it must be done by an adult of sound mind without duress. Accidental or ambiguous statements are sometimes given the benefit of doubt in the Hanafi school. And repentance. Schools differ on whether repentance, the Twaba, cancels the legal punishment. For instance, the Hanafi or the Shafi school generally accept repentance, while the Maliki and Hanbali schools often view the insult as so severe that the legal penalty remains even if the person repents. Jesus Christ. Are you interested in knowing more? Call Echo FM right now. Let's talk about it. Are you ready? Let's go take some more calls, more reactions. Don't you have anything to add before we move on?
Okay, what I wanted to say is, I know some persons will be asking, okay, what does Sharia and Quran have together? Can you separate them? Are they together? Okay, when we talk about Quran, we say this is the Holy Bible containing direct revelations from God. And when we say Sharia, this is a comprehensive system covering all aspects of life, including rituals, morality, and legal rulings derived from the Quran and other sources. Now, it's clear, based on research, that there is no Sharia book, but it is understood through the schools of jurisprudence called the Madhab. Now, based on Quran, in as much as they still take some leading from Quran specifically does not have any stated punishment for anybody who blasphemes. Now, they said it is a serious sin and a form of disbelief for those who actually are falling into this category of blasphemy. And then it goes further to say blasphemy involves mocking or cursing Allah, his messenger, or the Quran. Quran 9, verse 74 describes those who utter blasphemy as disbelievers after their belief. But Several commentators highlight that the Quran does not outline or specifically give legal punishment such as death for blasphemy. It is seen as a matter between the blasphemer and God. So the question is, why do they instill these laws that when you blaspheme, your penalty should be death?
All right, so now let's take a look at what Nigerian government stance is on this matter. So because we want to treat this thing in total and give you all the information you need, the Nigerian government stance on blasphemy is complex, but it is managed by both the federal and state levels. If you look at what happens, state government and their own religious laws are different from the federal government religious laws.
Yeah.
The punishments are not pari passu, they're not equitable in terms of differences. What they consider as a misdemeanor here may be a capital punishment in another state, and that we operate two systems. And that is where the whole religious bias comes in. The people will support this and these other people will support that. But in a country that's supposed to be governed by one law, we have multiple laws. Because what happens in Sokoto State may not be the same thing that will happen in Adamawa State. May not be the same thing that happened in Kaduna State. All in Nigeria, one country. And this is not really helping us in terms of social integration, in terms of people becoming one with a national interest. Everybody now have interests of their own based on their belief and teachings. And this is not how a country is run. So this is one of those things we must learn from issues like this. Dual legal systems is terrible. It has not helped anybody. And that is because some laws are superior to some. In Nigeria, there is supposed to be everybody guided by one law. As it applies to Mr. A, should apply to Mr. B. Yeah. And that is where the situation becomes very, very messy. The secular code in section 204 of the Nigerian Criminal Code, applicable in the South, not the North. You don't say that kind of thing. It's applicable in the South, prohibits insult to religion, which is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 2 years in prison. But up north, death may be waiting for you for something that is considered as a misdemeanor. In Sharia Penal Code, in 12 northern states, Sharia courts have jurisdiction over criminal matters for Muslims. Criminal matters. So why would they have jurisprudence over criminal matters? It's supposed to be religious affairs, marriages, family settlements and all that. That is what it's supposed to be. Why would they give them jurisprudence over criminal matters? These are all issues that need to be sorted out. So Sharia courts have jurisprudence over criminal matters, and then not
it's nothing like
that concerns Muslims, which is completely, for me, that is not right. So the Nigerian government needs to sort out this madness once and for all. And the judicial, that is federal position, the Supreme Court recognition. The Supreme Court of Nigeria has recognized blasphemy as a serious crime under Sharia. And I don't see him. However, it has also ruled that suspect must be tried in the court of law, that extrajudicial jungle justice, mob killing, is strictly illegal. But it's happening, and nobody has prosecuted the people who took that mob action. So we're just writing some paper, but in reality, it doesn't work. So that's just what it is. State versus federal authority. The state government, particularly in the north, defend these laws as essential for maintaining public order and morality. The federal government often maintains a delicate balance, dismissing claims of state-sponsored religious persecution while deferring to the legal autonomy of individual states. You see where the government has no stand. They're neither here nor there, just trying to please everybody. But when it concerns the non-Christians, the full weight of the non-Muslim, the full weight of the law comes on them. And that is where it becomes discriminate. And this is terrible for a country. International pressure in April 2025, ECOWAS Court of Justice ordered Nigeria to repeal or amend the blasphemy laws. Up to today, nothing to show for it. So that is completely going against the law. Nigeria is now going against regional law, which they signed and have been leading on multiple occasions, leading ECOWAS. So where are we when it comes to these religious matters? Every politician, president don't want to offend the Muslim or the Islamic people by enforcing such a law that may be seen as going against their religious belief. And hence, it's a delicate matter that they handle delicately. And this is where we are having no political will to stop some of this madness happening in Nigeria. Well, we just, I think this is the much we'll be taking on this matter. I believe we've been able to inform and enlighten you more on this matter. So you have heard what constitutes blasphemy. Beware. And know where you are at all times. Be careful your utterances, because they may just lead to the issue at grand. All right, let us take a little break now, and then we will be leaving the studio in a jiffy, because Health Revolution is up next.